Today we're going to continue our work with polygons, shapes with many sides, polygon. But today we're going to look at a specific type of polygon, and that is our quadrangles. Now, quadrangles fall into a specific category because there's many types, different types of quadrangles. In a pentagon and a hexagon, we either have a regular or an irregular pentagon or hexagon. But in quadrangles, we have many different types. Now, all the quadrangles that we see today and learn today are going to have all these things in common. Again, we see the word quad up there, so that means they're going to have four sides. With working with our attributes, we've learned that four sides means they have four vertices. But the special thing about the quadrangles is that they have 360 degrees on the inside. So if we were to draw our quadrangle and add up all of these inside angles, it will always be 360. It's going to come in handy later on in your geometry career when they may ask you, how much is this angle? So knowing that and getting that in your brain now will really help out for the future. So now we're going to take a look at the different types of quadrangles and what makes them different from each other. So our first quadrangle is a rectangle. Now, rectangles and squares are very special quadrangles because they're the only ones that have four square corners. So a rectangle has four square corners. But what makes a rectangle different from a square is that the top side and the bottom side are same length. While the opposite, the left and the right, are the same length, but they are not all the same length. Not all four sides are the same length, just the top and the bottom, and the left and the right. Now, we also have this word that we learned the other day called parallel. Well, the top side and the bottom side are parallel to each other, and the left and the right are parallel to each other. So, if we were to have this line go on forever and this line go on forever, they'll never touch. This line go on forever and this line go on forever, they would never touch. So, knowing what parallel is really going to help you with your quadrangles. So our next quadrangle, all four right corners, the top and the bottom the same length, the left and the right the same length, and two pairs of parallel sides. Rectangle, you'll see that there's one line here and one line here. It means the top and the bottom are the same length. There's one line here, two lines over here, and two lines over here. That means those two are the same length. So the sides with the same lines are telling you which ones are the same length. Is our square. Now our square, just like our rectangle, has four square angles. Now we can always remember that square angles are also known as right angles. But unlike a rectangle, a square has all four sides the same length. So that means the top, the bottom, the left, and the right are all the same. Now that word parallel is going to come in here again. Because just like a rectangle, the bottom and the top are parallel to each other. They're never going to touch. Just like the left and the right are parallel to each other. they are never going to cross. So 4 right angles, all sides the same length, and 2 pairs of parallel lines. Now, a rhombus, which is our next one, is an interesting shape. It's like we've taken a square and pulled on this corner and this corner and just kind of moved it a little bit, because a rhombus does have 4 sides the same length, just like a square. So the top, the bottom, the left, and the right are all the same length, but it does not have 4 square angles. But the top is parallel to the bottom, and the left is parallel to the right. So just like a square, it has 2 pairs of parallel sides. Now, you'll see these little lines in here on the sides. Those are letting you know that all sides are the same length. Now, if we go back, now after our rhombus comes a parallelogram. Now, a parallelogram is just like a rectangle. The top and bottom are the same. And the left and right are the same in length. So you'll see there's 1 arrow there, 1 arrow there, telling you those are the same. 2 arrows there, 2 arrows there, telling you they're the same. But we can see that there is this word parallel in our name. That's because, again, the top and the bottom are parallel to each other, and the left and the right are parallel to each other. So we could actually classify rhombuses, squares, and rectangles as parallelograms because they have 2 pairs of parallel sides. Now, I kind of look at a parallelogram like I did a rhombus. It looks like a rectangle that we've grabbed these 2 corners and just kind of pulled them a little bit and made them not square angles anymore. Now, the next one is a trapezoid. Now, a trapezoid is a quadrangle that only has 1 set of parallel lines. And that's where the top and the bottom are parallel. Because if we were to bring these sides out over here, the left and the right, you'll see that the right and the left will cross at some point. So a trapezoid only has 1 pair of parallel lines, 1 pair of lines that will never, ever, ever touch. Now, our last type of quad is a kite. And a kite, if we added a tail and flew it up in the sky, would look like a kite we fly every day. What a kite has is the top 2 lines are the same. And the bottom 2 lines are the same length. The thing about a kite is there are no parallel lines. Every single one of these lines is going to cross at some point. Those 2 cross, that one and this one are eventually going to cross. Those 2, they're just always going to cross. There's no pairs of parallel lines in a kite. Now, as we learned yesterday and a couple days before, we can make irregular quadrangles. So we can just make a quadrangle that has 4 sides and does not follow any of these rules. Just like that. 1, 2, 3, 4 sides. Like that. 4 sides. 4 sides. So we have many different types of quadrilaterals or quadrangles, but what we want to really focus on is those 6 that we talked about. So you do have a piece of paper on your desk where you can take some notes and draw your own, so you have this to look back at. So today's lesson is on what are these types of quadrangles.